Welcome, Gummers, to another episode of Fergie's Gum. My name's Nathan Irvine, and I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Paul Cropper. There he is, over there, scratching his head. He doesn't know what's
Yep.
going on. It's still early in the morning, though, there, isn't it?
Guten Morgen. How about you Germans? It is. I've just caught up on the highlights, so yeah.
Harsh,
Yeah.
harsh.
Guten
But
Morgen.
there we go. All of our German fans, all two of them, will be switching off now. That's it. We're down 2 subscribers. Yes, we are recording after Germany have just ducked out of the World Cup to Paraguay, and also the Netherlands in a shock penalty shootout defeat to the Netherlands.
Morocco.
Netherlands to Morocco. Sorry, Netherlands penalties. Oh my God, dreadful,
Awful.
absolutely
Awful, weren't
dreadful,
they?
absolutely dreadful. Anyway, we're not here
Good
to
game,
talk
though.
about that. It was a
Mhm.
decent game, very end to end, but I thought ultimately I thought Netherlands just didn't look like a proper Netherlands team. They had no control over the ball. Once they took Brian Brobby off, and I know I'm doing a complete different. I'm not talking about Manchester United anymore, but once they took Brian Brobby off, they put Wout Weghorst, and we all know what he's like up front, and it just became industrial football. It just became lump it to the big man, try and get the knockdown, see what we can do, and I think that basically killed him entirely. Um, we are going to talk about the World Cup though, but we're going to talk about it from a Manchester United point of view because there has been stuff going on over there, whether it's connected to Manchester United players or whether it's been connected to Manchester United transfer targets. One of those that was playing in that Dutch defeat, Crescenzio Somerville. Did I pronounce his name right? I don't know,
I've
but I'm going to go.
better
I'm
than
going to
what
go
I
with
would
that
have done.
anyway. I'm
Yep.
going to go with it anyway. Obviously, there's the sad news about Manuel Ugarte's injury. It looks like he's going to be out between 9 to 12 months now. The good thing about that, I mean, there's no good thing to a long-term injury at all. But one of the compensations of players that play in World Cup for FIFA, with FIFA, for the clubs, they get their salaries paid if anything long-term happens to them. So apparently I can't even remember how much it was. It was a few million, might have even been 9 million
Five.
or
5 million.
5
Five
million, was it?
5.2 million or something. Yeah, 5.2
There we go.
round about there.
So yeah, that's going to be covered by FIFA. Obviously, we wish Manuel Ugarte all the best. There's been mixed reports though over the last couple of days about whether or not it's going to affect Manchester United's transfer plans now. Like, I'm not saying this as you've ruined it, now we can't go and get, I don't know, half of Elliot Anderson or something like that. But it's this thing about, like, how will that affect their transfer business now? Not just because of the money that they might get coming in, but do they need another midfielder now? Do they still need 3 midfielders? And we'll talk about this later when we move on to what Manchester United still need in this transfer window. Bearing in mind that at the time of us talking, they've signed no one. So that's exciting. Ugarte though, gotta just hold our hands up and say that is an awful injury, and you wouldn't want to wish that on your worst enemy, would you?
No, you wouldn't, mate. No. No, especially after the seasons he's had. You'd want him to go and have a decent World Cup, perform well, and then get the move that he probably needs. But yeah, it's always a bad one when these players get a long-term injury. He's taking a big chunk out of the career in it. So yeah, I always feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Always.
And
Horrible.
it's a weird one as well for Manuel Ugarte because I think he was part of a Uruguay squad that was just completely unharmonious, if that's even a word. It was pathetic from start to finish for those guys. Like, Marco Bielsa could not keep that team together. You saw him getting frustrated on the sideline. He took Valverde off. There's been reports that there was arguments in the dressing room. Luis Suarez was chipping in with things, saying that this wasn't what they wanted. So yeah, it's compounded Uruguay's World Cup campaign, and obviously they're at home. Short distance to travel though, as they're already over in South America. So that's not too bad for those guys. The other player that I wanted to talk about, mixed fortunes for this person because we haven't even seen him yet. Kobbie Mainoo. He has not played a single
Mm.
minute for England at the World Cup under Thomas Tuchel. Bit of a waste of a journey. I do have a theory about it, but what do you think about this? Should he be playing?
I should be playing ahead of Jordan Henderson when he brought him on the other day ahead of Kobbie Mainoo was fuming. But I've been saying it in the chats and the group chats. Play Mainoo. He's this weather, this tournament. Rio Ferdinand touched on it, didn't he? Where international football is suited to some people. It suits Kobbie Mainoo down to the ground. We've seen that with England. You think he was one of the best players in the last tournament, wasn't he? Sean
Yeah.
went in there, looked like he belonged at that level. Well, he does belong at that level. Is he ever going to get in ahead of Anderson and Rice? I'm not sure he is. He's probably not that level yet. But surely you can make a place for him in that team somewhere just to keep the ball. He will keep the ball, mainly, won't he? And that's what you're going to have to do in the heat. If England do progress the next game, which they should do, and they do get Mexico in that heat at that altitude, and you need to keep the ball, bring Mainoo in. He'll do it brilliantly. My worry is them three of Bellingham, Anderson, and Rice seem to be undroppable in Tuchel's eyes. The worry.
Yeah, I think so. He's had some very strange decisions in who he's actually taken as part of that squad. Reece James is, he's permanent anyway. Thomas Tuchel was his manager at one point, so would know what his injury record is like, but still decided to take him. And lo and behold, he's probably out for the rest of the World Cup. So he's making some mad decisions at the moment. I've got my theory about Kobbie Mainoo though is, and it's similar to what happened with Ruben Amorim as well, is that I think it takes time to warm to Kobbie Mainoo. I don't think it's nothing to do with his personality. I don't think it's anything to do with him or his ability. I think there must be something that goes on. Do you remember Jose Mourinho had it with Luke Shaw, where he felt like he just wasn't getting what he was trying to tell him to do? And he made those quotes that almost killed his career, saying that, if I wasn't stood on the sideline, he'd have to do, he wouldn't know what to do next. But I think that's the same with Thomas Tuchel. I think he's telling them what needs to happen. But Kobbie, for whatever reason, it's not that he's not showing that he can't do it. I just don't think his character or his reactions is rubbing right with Tuchel. And I think because of that, because he doesn't feel like he can trust him, he doesn't feel like he can play him. That's why he keeps going with Jordan Henderson ahead of him. I think there's something, it's something similar, put it that way.
There's another comparison you could have is that he's getting the Carrick treatment, isn't he? He's getting exactly the same treatment that Carrick got for England, where there was other players ahead of him, but you're like, you can't. It doesn't always work, does it? When you play Lampard, Scholes, Gerrard, it's not. Yeah, the brilliant players and probably better than what Carrick was, but you need that ball player and the holder and the tempo setter like in there, and that's what Mainoo would do. Maybe he comes across as a bit of a luxury centre midfielder, if you know what I mean. Not a ball winner, not exactly brilliant at tackling, covering ground like we've seen. But he does the right job for international football, like Carrick did as well when he came on the pitch. So, yeah, unfortunately for Mainoo, there is something there, but I'm sure his time will come for England.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you look at Ugarte's injury and then you look at Kobbie getting no minutes and you're like, all right, don't play him then. Good. Because I want him to come back and be raring to go for Man United when the beginning of the season, which starts, pre-season starts, the first game in pre-season for Manchester United starts before the World Cup final, which is mental. July 18th is when United play their first game. I think it's Wrexham, is it?
I believe they're back in on the 9th, aren't they? Pre-season training,
Yes.
the ones that aren't at the World Cup. So
yeah. And then finishing on a positive from the World Cup, Matheus Cunha. Now, the reason why I believe that this is a positive for Manchester United is he's playing as a false nine for Brazil. And he's already scored 3 goals. Didn't do much last night against Japan, which is fine. It's to be expected. Casemiro did pop up with an equaliser, but he's no longer our player, so we can't claim him anymore. He's practically an Inter Miami player by now. But Matheus Cunha, and we're going to talk about transfers and things that Manchester United need in the next segment. But I think Cunha has probably given United a little bit of cause, not for concern, but for celebration in the way that he's been playing for Brazil as that false nine.
Brazil's number 9. We all love a Brazil number 9, don't we? So it's he can play that position, can't he? He's doing well. He's having a good tournament. it just looks like good vibes, doesn't it, the Brazil squad all the time.
Yeah.
Just looks like good fun to be around, and they enjoy a good tournament. Yeah, Cunha will do well. I wouldn't be surprised if he got 5 or 6 goals this time.
We're obviously going to talk about transfers because that is the season that we're in right now. Summer transfers. The only one that seems to be close to being signed is Edison. But we thought we'd do a little bit of a special on the Croppers Transfer Corner in that we would identify the 3 positions, and there's probably more, but we're going to go with 3 positions and players or players that Manchester United need this summer to improve the squad. I think it goes beyond 3, but we're talking about the top 3 that we need right now. So first on your list, what did you have? What position and who was the player that you had?
Well, centre midfield is the obvious one, isn't it? We have to strengthen centre midfield. I'm going to say the thing with Ugarte, it might be a bit of nothing against Ugarte, but it might be a bit of a blessing in disguise because there was rumours about him going. He might not have gone, and then the club might have gone. Well, we've got Ugarte there on this money. We might have to use him. With him being injured now, they have to replace him. So it might be a bit more. Whereas that like last week I was saying, do we need 3 midfielders to come in? Can we get away with 2? If you've got Ugarte there, they'll be thinking the same. Now we need 3, don't we? But so centre midfield, we need Fernandes. Just simple.
Matheus Fernandes, right?
Matheus Fernandes. Oh yeah. It's just do it now. I mean, I know you've said in the chat, hold out, the price will go down. I'm completely just pay the money. It's doing my head. We did it with Maguire. The West Ham aren't going to go all of a sudden, oh, we'll accept 62 million plus 20 million add-ons. No, they're not going to do that. If that's what they're saying they want for him, and you touched on this last week when I was listening back to it, and I disagreed again. Just pay the money. I know you've got to have a top limit that you're doing, but no, just go and pay it, get it done. There's no reason why you can't, United. If Tottenham, Spurs are now sniffing around him, and if you're led to believe that he will just go to the highest bidder, well then go and make your offer. That's our offer. We're not going to go above that. If it is 82 million, if you can't go past 60 million, make the offer, and then go, right, we're going to move on now. It just does my head in when they're just constantly, oh, we'll give you $1 million here, $1 million. We've seen how it ends with Harry Maguire. You end up paying it anyway. Fellaini, we ended up paying more. Just pay the money, lads, and do it.
But this is a different regime. So it is Ineos, and they are refusing to be bent over a barrel with any deals now. So they've got a wage cap and they've got a transfer cap, and they have got, and I think last season proved that they did really well in holding out. Eventually, they did still end up paying that type of top money for Brian Mbeumo, despite waiting for so long. I think they still need to do that. I still think Matheus Fernandes has just been relegated with West Ham. They're in a strong position because now there's another team that wants him. The only difference for Manchester United to be able to get him for any cheaper is if he turns around and says, I want to go to Manchester United. And that's the only way that it changes. Because he can just say, forget it then, I'm going to stay. I'll just stay. And they'll be like, well, no, because we need 60, 70 million at least to bolster the rest of the squad. We're banking on you going so that we can get that cash in. So I think I get what you mean. But I don't think that this regime want to be known as the people that just pay that money. We're only linked to him in the press, and the insiders like David Ornstein know that it's happening. But you have to think that behind the scenes, there's got to be other players that they're linked to. And if they overpay, say they say he's 60 million, he's worth 60, right? Okay, Matheus Fernandes 60 million, and then that means that the 20 million that West Ham were asking that we saved, we can then put that onto a left back, a centre back, a this, a that. I don't think you want to put all your eggs into one basket. So I'll give them. I agree. I would rather something happen very fast with him. Go and make that bid and try and ruffle some feathers. But I think they're right to wait. I think they just need to be calm and just try to see how these things work out. It's frustrating for us as fans. I completely get it though.
would you be happy on that note then to if Spurs bought Matheus Fernandes for 85 million, would you be happy to go right up? We'll just leave it
Yeah,
then. Would
yeah,
you? Right,
yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah. Because 85 million, as I said, it's 85 million for West Ham, but it's also the player going, okay, these my ambitions are to go to Spurs and play for Spurs. Okay, bye. Then go to Spurs then. You can't just wait around for it. They knew, Manchester United knew Benjamin Sesko wanted to join them, despite Newcastle saying we're ahead in the race and we bid more. Right? They were going to give him more salary. Brian Mbeumo was the same. Spurs wanted him. They were desperate to get him, and they thought that they had him. The only one that there wasn't really any competition with, because it seemed like it was in the pipeline for a long time, was Matheus Cunha. So they had their targets and they set it, and they did what they had to do to get him in early, because they knew that they were going to hit however much Wolves wanted, and he's in. I think it's different in fact, it's not different. It's exactly the same with Matheus Fernandes. If he wants to go to Manchester United, he has to make that known to West Ham, and he has to say, "I'm not going to Spurs." That's it. Simple as that. And George Mendes is no mug. He will keep him wherever he wants to, and he will move him wherever he wants to as well. So
Mm.
yeah, don't go out. Spurs are going scattergun. They're desperate after last season. They're going scattergun. They're doing what they want. They just paid 52 million for Van Hecker at Brighton. He only had a year left on his contract. 52
Mm.
million for a centre back, and they've already got
Rumours
three
have
centre backs. So
rumours to believe they've gone big. They're going big for Tonali as well. It looks like they're just going all in, like in poker, aren't they? Let's go all in, and
go
then
for it.
never works well.
Go
Never works well.
go
Yeah. So centre
go
midfield,
for it.
first position, get it done.
Yeah. Okay. So I've gone. While we're on that, I'm going to mix in both of mine because it covers what we're talking about. But I've kind of I kind of split it up slightly. So I've gone defensive midfielder. So I think they need a defensive midfielder. They need a dog in there that basically cleans up. I I thought that was going to be Edison at first, but the more I see of him play, he's actually box to box, and I think that's what we need. We need a defensive midfielder, and we need a box to box midfielder in that hole. So we need three basically. Defensive midfielder. I've gone back to an old name, mate, because he's Premier League proven, and I think the price has probably dropped for him. I'm going with Carlos Baliba for
Oh,
the
really?
for the defensive midfield role, yeah. And the reason for this, the reason why I think it's better to go with Baliba is the other options that we've got for that position in terms of Tchouaméni or Camavinga, the two players that are rumored to potentially be moving from Real Madrid, that's going to be drawn out. 100% that's going to be a long drawn out thing with Real Madrid asking for certain conditions, and I just don't want to get into that. As a Manchester United fan, I don't want to be dragging it out across the summer. I think Carlos Baliba has had an incredibly average season for Brighton. I think the valuation that they put on him at the beginning of last season, 110, 120 million, whatever it was, they're not going to get close to that now. They should have accepted United's 80, I think it was 90 million that they bid for him. They
Hmm.
should have accepted that. His I still still believer that he had his head turned, and that's why he didn't play very well at AFCON, and he hasn't played well for Brighton all season. So in terms of a defensive midfielder, Carlos Baliba is still the man for me.
72 million apparently is the price they've named this morning.
Do it.
Sorry. So
Do it. I mean, it's
okay,
50 million
okay,
less than what they wanted last season.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I,
okay,
I wouldn't
yeah.
I wouldn't hate that. And it's clear after that Brighton game when he was talking to Lenny Yoro, when he was talking to Bruno Fernandes, there was something being said there. So
Hmm.
maybe.
Okay,
And then
all right.
box to box. So we've got Edison practically. He's signed up. I think he will be good for Man United.
I
Um,
agree.
but then if it's not Fernandez, I think you've got to go with, and it's an obvious one, but I think you got to go with Alex Scott. I think he does the dirty work, and I think he does the flair stuff going forward as well. And if United can persuade him not to sign this new contract, that Bournemouth have put in front of him, I think they could tie that up quite quickly because, again, it's player power. If Scott goes back to Bournemouth and says, I don't want to play next season and I'm not, or I don't want to sign this new contract, I'd like to explore my options now, they don't have much of a a good situation where they can be in a power of strength and just say, well, we're just going to keep him because he could go on a free. I think has he got 2 years left? I think on his
I think
contract,
it
maybe.
might be a year, Nathan. To be honest,
Exactly,
yeah,
which is why they want to tie him down. But if you're going for if you're getting a defensive midfielder, I'm going to say Carlos Baliba. If you're going to go box to box after Edison, because I still believe we need three, it's either Fernandez or it's Alex Scott. I don't see those two being you buy both of them at the same time.
2028 his contract runs until the club value at 60 million. I think that's a doable one, and I'm all for it. I've said it all. I think he looks like a United player. I think more so than a Belieber. So yeah,
Yeah,
I would go Fernandez or Belieber. I'd be happy with, and then Alex Scott as well. Brilliant. Yep, centre
fair
midfield
enough.
sorted.
Fair enough. Then your second spot that you've got.
Second spot, I believe that we need to strengthen more than others would be left back. I just think we need left back, and I think it's a position we can really enhance. And I've said it all the time. There's a couple of options, but the main one that stands out, Lewis Hall, easily done. Do it, class player, love him.
I don't disagree that Lewis Hall would be a fantastic signing, but I'm going to stick with my rhetoric about United do not need another left back. I feel like it's still the strongest position that United have got right now. In terms, it's stacked. Look at Mazraoui just played for the
Paul
entire
Mazraoui
game.
again.
Mate,
He's an animal. He's an animal. Love him.
Killing it, and he's playing left back as well, mate.
He is playing
He's
left
playing
back.
left
I
back.
noticed that as well. Yeah.
I never saw Mazraoui as being a player that could fill that left back spot. I always thought of him, and I've said this before on here, I always thought that he was just a very functional player, good at defending, not much going forward. But he's proved with Hakimi on the other side that he can really get forward and cause problems with Morocco. And he did that for 120 minutes for, I think he played the entire game. He did that for Morocco against Netherlands to get through to round of 16. And that's why Lewis Hall, I think if there's an opportunity to get Lewis Hall, I completely agree. You should definitely go and get him, as long as it doesn't affect the other things. But in terms of left back, when you've got Dorgu, who can play there, but I got a feeling he's going to play further forward this year.
Mm-hmm.
When you've got Dorgu, Shaw, Harry Amas, Diego Leon, and who was the other one? Mazraoui. And Dallo can even play on that side. I know. Yeah, and you know our feelings on Dallo, but they can all play on that side. I feel like they're stacked over there. I would say right back is probably the one that you need to fill out. Dallo at right back. That's our number one going forward, mate. Although he's not even on the list.
How many players have you just named there for our left back, and not one of them is a patch on him? Not one is a patch on Lewis Hall. Not one. Not one. They're not even close to his. They're not even close to his level.
In what way?
They're not. So name your players.
Luke Shaw's better than
Luke Shaw. No, Luke Shaw's not better than him. Luke Shaw had a good season. Luke Shaw's got the capability to just break down Annie again. How old is he now? Yeah, you can't rely on Luke Shaw.
Lewis Hall has the potential to be better than Luke Shaw. I don't think he's better than Luke Shaw now.
Right now, I think Lewis Hall's better than Luke Shaw.
Okay,
especially going forward. Who else was it? Dallo? Mazraoui is not a natural left back. He's only playing there because Hakimi's the best right back in the world.
But he's playing there well.
He's doing well. He is doing well. Yeah, he is. So he can fill in there. Who was your other options? Who else was there?
Dorgu, Big Paddy.
Yeah, like you said, probably going to play further forward. We've seen him at left back. He's not the same player.
Harry Amas was the one that was supposed to be the natural replacement for Luke Shaw, but he's had injuries. I think as soon as he went to was it Norwich he went to, and he got injured straight away. He left Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, he left
It's a bad
Sheffield
one as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, really bad one. So he's out for the season, I think it was after that. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, Hamas was always the one. Said
You're getting
Hamas
in.
then, but his initials are
I'm a,
Hamas.
don't start
So,
being
you know,
political on it.
yeah,
It's not a political show
yeah.
here.
He's good at
No, I
attacking.
think I think you're getting a Champions League ready-made, Premiership proven footballer. England's best left back for me. Obviously, the lad from City is very, very good. I think you go and get him, and I think you're able to get him, say 60 million, 55, 60 million is a good price for what you're getting there. And he's your left back for 10 years, barring injuries, etc. Him and Luke Shaw there, if you say Luke Shaw coming for the big Champions League games away, or Luke Shaw, we're playing someone away from home, we just need to sit in maybe Chelsea away, them kind of games.
Mm.
But Lewis Hall there he's an outstanding left back, mate, and you just throw him in straight in and it's done. Yeah, I just feel like
Okay.
it's an easy one for them. And
All
the
right.
other ones are not a patch, no matter how much you
Okay.
fight for them.
Well, I mean, you're wrong, but we'll continue. Um, right, okay. The last one that I've got, and then we'll do your last one. The position that's a priority, and I imagine we've probably got the same one here. A striker at Manchester
Ooh.
United. Manchester United need a striker. There was reports this morning in the Athletic in their deal sheet. We read these out. We did this last week as well. They seem to drop at the perfect time for when we do these shows. So it's all good for us. But Joshua Zirkzee apparently is available for sale at Manchester United. I mean, that's the worst kept secret ever because he didn't have a great season last year. Doesn't really fit in anywhere at Manchester United. So seems like a lad that's, good vibes around the club, but probably not the best player to keep there if you want to be scoring goals. So for me, as a striker, I think you either go veteran or free. And I think a free veteran might be the best way to do it. But so Lewandowski's obviously gone to Chicago Fire. That was announced recently. I don't. Did you not know that? Yeah.
No, I did not
Yeah,
know
he's
that.
gone.
Wow.
Yes, yeah.
What a
Robert Lewandowski.
waste.
Yeah, Chicago Fire
Okay.
seems to be the retirement ground for a lot of ex-Bayern players. That Thomas Muller's there as well. But I thought Danny Welbeck, he's kind of gone down in my list when I'm looking at players here because I think he'd cost you a little bit of money. If you could get him, brilliant, but not with a transfer fee. If you could get him for just contract termination, then he comes in, sits on the bench, comes off the bench, bit of impact, I would go with Danny Welbeck. But wanted to get your thoughts on these players. These all, according to transfermarket.com, all free transfers this summer. I've not gone through the exhaustive list. That's a feature for another time. But I thought I'd just read these ones out and just see if any tickle your fancy. And remember, they're a reserve striker that is going to be playing second fiddle or helping Benjamin Sesko. Okay? All right. So with that clarification out of the way, the first one that I've got on the list is Dusan Vlahovic, who's just left Juventus by mutual agreement. He's only 26 and he's available for free. Okay. Thomas Muller, a player that we just talked about a second ago. His contract runs out at Vancouver Whitecaps. 36 now, but his contract runs out this
How's he
season.
only 36? Sorry. He's been around for 47 years, that lad.
Yes.
Go on.
Yes. It's like a car when you buy one of those dodgy cars and they've wound the pedometer back.
MLC, the clock back.
Yeah. Get the clock back. Callum Wilson, outsider bet there. He's 34, just left West Ham, obviously got relegated with them. And then the last one that I've picked on here is Galatasaray's Mauro Icardi at 33. Now, 4 options. I know, I mean, you shook your head all the way through that, but 4 options there. Out of those, and on a free transfer, which one, if you had to take one, would you take?
Oh, out of them 4?
Vlahovic, Muller, Wilson, or Icardi?
Oh. I know Vlahovic, the reason why he got released, Juve couldn't afford his wage demand. But out of those 4, it probably would be him because he's 26. He's the only one that's a decent age. Was linked with Arsenal, one not long back. Jackie, big shout out to Jackie. Loves his Italian football, Italian man. Has told me 12 months ago he should have been the man we should have gone and got. I've not seen enough of him recently, to be honest with you, but seems like a bit of a like he's wherever he's gone, he's never really took off. He had a couple of good seasons. Fiorentina he was at before he made the move to
Fiorentina, yeah.
Juve. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he got 20 odd goals, and he was linked with a big 80 million move to Arsenal. If you're going to get him on a free, you're probably getting a player that's worth 40 million, 40, 50 million for a free. But if Juve are letting him go because his wage demands are too much, how much in wages are you going to want on a free? So,
See, I think there was probably a little bit more to it than just his wages. I mean, if you read the rumours and the bust ups that apparently happened at Juve while he was there, it sounds like he's a little bit of a bad egg. So you might be buying someone that is, he's going to upset the rest of the dressing room. But at
mm,
26, he's my choice. He's what I would go with. The other one, I mean, I'd go with Thomas Muller just for vibes, just to see what he'd be like. Finally, we just get Thomas Muller in after all these years of chasing him. We got him in. He's in a wheelchair, but we got him in. He can barely run anywhere. He comes in.
still be better than
But
Xerxes, won't he?
I know exactly. So that Vajovic would be the one that I would go with. But in terms of a position that Manchester United need to fill, they desperately need to get another striker in to help out Benjamin Sesko.
Mm. Yeah, I've gone another way with my last position to fit. I feel like we touched on it with Cunha. Cunha can play as a false nine. It's not his best position, I don't think. I
Yeah.
think he is better coming off the left, but Cunha can play there. So I've gone left wing. Now, this will all depend on whether the man Marcus Rashford is going to be accepted back and welcome back, which we spoke about in length. And
Mm.
it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen now because
Yeah.
people aren't going to take him on. I think we'll all have to be a bit more open to that. But if Marcus Rashford comes back, I don't feel we will have to strengthen there because I think we've got numbers. We've also got some superstar kids that can play in that position as well. But if Marcus Rashford does move on, I feel like we need to strengthen there. I would use Cunha as the backup option as a striker, and I would then go in and get your man that I always want, Mr. Ndiaye from Everton, because he is top class.
It's interesting that you still want him, like, because I'm not saying that he's not the right player, but the 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 rumor for that just seems to have gone completely cold. Like there's no links at all anymore. It was all
Nothing.
very
Nothing.
it was all it was
It's just me.
it was all,
It's just me. It's just me. Copper in a dream. I'm just pushing it. Please
one
listen
man
to me.
campaign.
Yeah, yeah. It's only me that wants him. Even anybody else I talk to goes, really? All right, okay. Yeah. You'll all see next season when he's at Everton or goes to PSG, and you're all like, this lad's brilliant. Like, yeah, I told you. But yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
that's what
wouldn't.
I would do.
I don't dislike the lad. I think he's a very good player. But as I've said many a time before, my mate who's an Evertonian, he says he's very patchy. He could. We've signed players that have been patchy before, and we've turned them into superstars at Old Trafford. So it could be one of those. But I know that he's been scouted by United as well. As you well know, where that connection comes from, and how I know that
Hmm.
information. And he's been scouted a few times, but that's all. That I mean, they scout loads of players throughout the year,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
he just seems to have dropped off completely. Left wing is somewhere as well. Patrick Dorgu, he's got to play
Yeah.
somewhere, mate. He's got
Yeah.
to play
Yeah. Yeah.
somewhere.
No, I get it. I get it. Yeah. The thing is with Njai, it's just terrible with these names. He can play on the left. He can play in the 10. He can play on the right. He's that comfortable of a football that he can play. You could even play him off the front as well and play him off the striker if you're going to change your formation. He could probably play in an 8 and still be that
Do you
very,
know
very
what
good. So
though?
he is an option for the whole forwards,
Do you,
if you
do
know
you
what I
know? Do you
mean.
know what though? I think United need a specialist rather than someone that's a utility
I
man
can
up front.
understand that.
I think I
You
think
know,
you're right. I think what you're talking about there. I think we've already got a few of them. We've already got a Matheus Cunha that can play left wing at a push. Bruno Fernandes can play there at a push. They can play 8. They
Umo.
can play yeah. They can play 10. Ahmad and Mbumo on the other side. They can play all of these different positions. If money was no object, you would, and and if you could persuade him, Yan Diamande is the person that you buy for that position. It's the reason why they wanted Semenyo so much. They wanted a specialist to attack that left wing side that was able to go forward, that would offer them the same thing on the left hand side as they had on the right with Ahmad or Mbumo.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I see the benefits of having someone that can play in all the positions, but I think United are kind of in a privileged position now where they've got youth players coming through, as you mentioned before. Like, there's lots of players that can play in that position where they can focus on bringing in superstars or just specialist players that do a certain job. Like Erling Haaland. I'm not saying we're going to sign him, but Erling Haaland comes in to score you goals. You buy a left winger like Yan Diamande to beat a man one-on-one, put the ball in the box of Benjamin Sesko. That's what you want. Could Ndai be that man? Yeah, I think he probably could, but I just don't think it's a priority for me. This is it's all about what we think. It's our opinions on this,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think left wing is as big a priority as it is finding someone to play backup to Sesko. Although Matheus Cunha might have something to say about that. Overrated or underrated? It is time for another episode of the feature where we basically decide whether or not a Manchester United player from past or present is overrated or underrated at Manchester United by the fans, should I say, not by managers. So, this player this week, shall I go through all of the bits and then you can guess who it is?
Let's do it. Got a thinking hat on.
I'll give you 2 clues, and they're pretty loose, but the last one will probably give it away. During his time at Manchester United, he pulled on the red shirt 170 times, scoring 5 goals. He won 3 Premier League titles, 1 League Cup, and 1 FIFA Club World Cup. Now, I've given you 2 clues. You can guess from those, or I can give you the final clue, which is very easy, and you will get him straight away.
Phil Neville.
Oh, no, but the final clue is him and his brother were once referred to as the Brazilian Neville brothers.
Oh, okay. Raphael.
It is Raphael.
I
It's
like
good
it.
that you went
Hey.
Raphael, though, not Fabio. Well done.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, he made more appearances, didn't he? So it's
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll ask you the question then. Is Raphael, during his time at Manchester United, was he overrated or underrated as a player?
My initial thoughts is to go underrated because I loved him. I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know why I loved. In fact, I do know why I loved him because he snapped everything that went near him, didn't he? Yeah, a good one. I'm just thinking of the screamer he scored. Was it against Liverpool? He scored a screamer.
Potentially.
I'm sure he scored. Well, he's only got 5. Surely it's on there. I remember him scoring an absolute worldie. I'm going to go underrated, Nathan, because he had that Brazilian aggression of snapping into tackles, and I loved his enthusiasm when he played. He said he was never going to be a United starter, was he? But to get 170, I can't believe how many appearances he got as a right back. It's him and his brother came in, didn't they, at the same time, and I think they were loved by the whole squad. And I think us United fans just like someone who works hard and a grafter, and that's what he was. Yeah, don't think he was ever brought in and he was going to be the next Cafu or anything like that. But you show that aggression in a tackle as a defender and that willing to fight for the club. For me, you'll completely do for me. Yeah, I'm going to go underrated with that one. Like it.
It was interesting actually because when I was doing the research on him, he didn't really have a run where he was like 30, 40 games a season. He was in and out of the team. I feel like it was during a time when Fergie was still trying to work out who was going to be the long-term successor to Gary Neville down that right-hand side. And I think Raphael even played midfield. I think Fabio played midfield. I think he played on the left. He played on the right. It was against Liverpool who he scored that goal against, by the way.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
In that famous white kit. But Raphael, for me, I'm going to stick with you as well on this. I'm going to say he was underrated as well. But I don't feel like he really got the most out of his career at Manchester United. I don't know what it was. He couldn't quite prove himself to Fergie in a
No,
way
he's
that meant that he was the man for that role. 150 appearances is decent, but he should have been playing more for someone that was taking over that
yes.
position when it was open.
How,
He should have been playing
how
more.
many years? That must have been over 6 or 7 years he was there. Must it? Have you got the dates there? Because he was there for
Uh,
a long time. The pair of them were there for a long time, weren't they? But you
so
are
he
talking,
joined
Nathan, of him.
he joined United in 2008 and he left in 2015. So yeah, seven years.
Yeah, 7 years. Yeah, but you are talking in that time there. He's got the likes of Wes Brown, John O'Shea. Gary Neville's still there. He was probably third or fourth choice fullback, wasn't he? Really, going through them that there at a time when we had a very very good squad. So for him to get that amount of appearances, he's good. But
So the season that he had his most prolific run of games is when he completed 40 games in a season. That was during 2012 or 2013. And the players that he was going up against in that time for that position was, well, it was him, Patrice Evra, Phil Jones, Rio Ferdinand, Johnny Evans, but then Antonio Valencia, who also got
yeah,
moved to right back, I think, during that season. I do believe Ashley Young might have
I
also
sort
had a
of
spell
chat.
there.
I had a thought of
Yeah,
Ashley Young in my head, but I don't not sure whether he was there at that time. But yeah, he's we're talking like we've just been talking about fullbacks there. We seem to have a decent sh- squad strength there, didn't we? We always have
yeah,
done it right. So Wes Brown moved on by then, had he?
yeah.
Wes Brown must have been there at some point. But yeah, I'm going to go underrated Nathan just because of his enthusiasm. I don't think he was ever a top class right back or a top class Premier League right back, but I think I'm thinking now, but the other overrated, underrated we've done, and maybe I've been a bit harsh on them because I'm saying Raphael's underrated. I just that's where my brain's go. I had a little smile at myself looking at that Liverpool goal as well because love it, love it. So go and check
Mm,
it out on YouTube. Brilliant. Yeah, I'm going to stick with it. I liked him.
okay.
Snapped into everything. That'll do.
As we're constantly talking about the good old days at, at Old Trafford, I've not been there since. I've not watched the game there since 2010. I think 2011. I lived
Okay.
in Bath for a long time, but that's not the point of this segment. This segment is about the best and worst Manchester United player we've ever seen live. I mean, I did say at Old Trafford, but then I forgot. Have you actually watched them at a different ground? Have you watched them anywhere else?
I have never been to an away game. Frustrates the life out of me.
There we
All
go.
last season, I was trying to get to an away game. Ernie, if you're listening, you need to come through because he said he could
Right.
get me some. So get on it,
Okay.
Big Ern.
Fair enough. Ernie,
And I
or
know he,
anyone
I know he
listening to
does
this,
listen as well. Or
or
watches on YouTube.
yeah, or anyone that's watching this that can fix him up with a ticket, he'll take
Yeah,
it.
they're, they're,
For,
they're so hard to come across.
I
So
know,
hard to
yeah.
get ordered.
I know. Need to get one of those corporate ones, mate. That's where between 2004 and 2008, I had four season tickets in the Stretford end. That was from the company that I was working for. So they used to use them for corporate entertaining, but because they were based in Bath, they never used to get that. No one could be bothered to drive up and do the corporate entertaining. So Kate, who used to work there as like an office manager, she always used to just give me the all four tickets. And this is before we knew each other. We could have been living like kings, mate. I think they put on food and drink for us. I had like a voucher for that, and I had the season
Ah,
tickets. It was good, mate.
Kate,
Very good.
let's send them to the old Fergie scum.
Yeah. She's gone now. She's at a different
No.
company. So I did see her out here actually. She came out to Dubai and we was reminiscing about that. That was good times. Anyway, I do digress. We're talking about the worst and best Manchester United performances that we have ever seen live. Now, what would you like to start with, Paul? Would you like to start with the worst, or would you like to start with the best?
Hang on, are we going with worst players we've seen or the worst performances?
Individual performances from a
Oh
player.
right, that's not what I've got on my notes. But right, okay, I'll have to think now. Then.
Right. Shall I go first
And
then?
yeah, you
What would
go
you like me
first
to
while
go
I have a
with?
think.
What would you like me to go with first? Would you like me to go with the best, or would you like me to go with the worst?
Oh, go with the worst. Go with the worst.
Okay. Okay. Let me take you back to uh, 2004 with Manchester United 1, Leeds United 1, in a game in which Alan Smith scored the equaliser, much to the annoyance of everyone in the stadium. I think we signed him pretty shortly after that game. But sat in the Stretford end, there was one player that stood out in that game where I was like, this he's probably a really nice fella. I don't want to like really properly slag him off. And he did do some decent stuff for Manchester United. But that day, Quinton Fortune was honestly, he looked like a pub league player. And that's harsh, but he just could not settle into the game. He was running around, a lot of huffing and puffing. I know we like a trier at Manchester United, but he could not impose himself on the game at all. And he just kept running around. He kept getting beat in possession into possession by Leeds United players. But the thing that compounds it the worst for me was that completely unopposed near the halfway line, I watched him from the Stretford end pick up the ball, receive a ball into feet, and he dribbled it out of play with no one around him. And I was like, wow, this lad plays for Manchester United and he's just dribbled the ball out of play with no one around him. That is quite the feat. So unfortunately, the award for the worst Manchester United player that I've ever seen live goes to Quinton Fortune. Surely yours is going to be Andre Onana. Surely you've watched some howlers from him at Old Trafford. I
No,
can't
I
believe
was
you've
just
watched anyone else.
I've just had a chance to have a think. Sorry, I was definitely thinking. I was thinking, what game was it? What game was it? And I was like, we played Raphael midfield when Paul Pogba should have played. I was just trying to think which game it was, and Blackburn at home, I think it was.
Right.
And
Okay.
it was just So
Was
it
this
was
before
a goalkeeper.
Pogba left? Was it before Pogba left the first time, or?
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
was when he should have been playing, and he's like, right, I'm going now. But it
Okay.
was David De
Right.
Gea. He was absolutely horrendous.
He's carrying on the slander.
Yeah, I'm going with him. And I've seen Dave a numerous, and this is going in from last week. Of just horrendous games, but it was one of the first games, probably the first 10 games he came over. Must have been. I think it was. I'm just trying to think back now. My
Yeah.
memory's awful, but
Okay.
it would have been over Christmas. I remember sitting close to the pitch, really good seats, and just thinking, he's garbage. And he was built like Big Bird when he first came,
Yeah.
just skinny. And I just remember Blackburn absolutely battering him. So I'm very harsh on goalkeepers anyway. So I'm gonna put it in there with David De Gea that he had an absolute when he first came into United, and the whole crowd were like, "This kid,"
But wait,
and he was just a kid, wasn't he?
but wait, I get that, but the thing that I cannot pass in my brain is the fact that you've also watched Andre Onana at Old Trafford, yet David
That's
De
a good
Gea
point.
is the worst performance you've ever seen. You must have watched Andre Onana perform even worse than that. I'm not having it.
Uh,
I'm not having it.
yeah,
I'm not.
yeah, I have. I have. To be honest with you, I'm not a fan of goalkeepers. I love Senny Lamans.
Right.
I just love the fact that we've got him. I'm going to go with that one because it sticks in the brain as being
Okay.
I think we got beat by Blackburn, I believe that day, and it was garbage. I remember.
Okay.
That's
Fair.
all I remember.
That is
Yeah, I'm
fair.
going to go with that.
That's fair. So the best.
I was on the spot then as well. You put me under pressure. You change the question.
Yeah. Well, not really. You just read it wrong. Right. Okay. So the best performance that I've seen from a Manchester United player, it's between two. The first one is Berbatov versus Blackburn, as you were saying. I think that might have been the last game that I actually watched in 2010. That was the game when Berber started that move from his own box, from United's 18-yard box, ran the full length of the pitch after exchanging passes with, I think, Evra, then Nani. It was Nani who played the final ball in anyway into the 18-yard box, and he just rifled it into the top corner. The reason why that one really stands out for me. It wasn't just that goal. He was doing that the entire game. He just made things look so effortless when he was playing. Not in that he's lazy type of way. It just, I think for me, it reminded me of Cantona. Do you remember the goal? You obviously remember the goal that Cantona scored where he chips it over. Is it Mark Crossley that he puts it over?
Yeah,
Where he
yeah,
chips it
Sunderland. Yeah,
into the top corner. That's what, for me, that's what that goal was like. That type of languid movement, little drop of the shoulder, getting past people, and then straight up top and smashing it home emphatically. I just thought he was a cut above everyone else that was on the pitch that day. That was back in 2010. But the performance that I looked at and watched, and I thought, oh my God, this is different gravy. And I've not seen Ronaldo live. I haven't watched him at Old Trafford. However, Rooney versus Newcastle United, I was sat behind the goal when he scored that that volley. That was absolutely. I mean, was it goal of the season? I can't even remember. It looked like it
probably.
might have been anyway. It looked like it might have been. But watching him in that game, and that was back in 2005, he had this way about him where, and it's something that you always talk about. He was just hungry for the ball. He wanted the ball all the time, and when he got the ball, he wanted to do something with the ball. And when he had the ball, he always did something with it. Whether it was a little short pass into feet, whether it was turning a man, whether it was running at defenders, he just looked unbelievable. Like even from his, obviously we were all on a high from his debut, but seeing him in the flesh and then seeing that goal, the ferocity of that goal that he scored against Newcastle, after arguing with, I want to say Mike Riley, I think it was, that he had a little argument with the ref just before he blasted it into the top corner. Yeah, unreal. So yeah, Wayne Rooney versus Newcastle United 2005.
Love it. I'm trying to think of my best performance, and I'm doing it on the spot of a player, and I can't pick one, but I'm gonna go with Cristiano Ronaldo. I know he's probably the best player I've seen live there, just in that season, but I can't pick out a one
Yeah.
performance like that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with a random one, the Champions League game against Roma. I'm just gonna go with that because
Yeah.
it was one of the best United performances I've ever seen. That team was on fire. Current manager was on fire as well, Michael Carrick. But
Mm.
Cristiano Ronaldo in that team, because I've got the best players that I've seen live, I've put Cristiano Ronaldo in there. So I'm going to go with that one, just because we absolutely tore him to bits. It was a massive game at Old Trafford. The atmosphere was
Yeah.
ridiculous, and Cristiano Ronaldo was on fire that night. So I'll just
Was it
put that
was
up
it
there.
was that the game that Alan Smith scored in as well?
Oh, I
Like
don't know. It
from
was.
from a fair distance out.
Yeah. Alan Smith, yeah. Carrick and Alan Smith scored 2 goals. Yeah. Wayne Rooney
Yeah.
added Ronaldo scored the first of 2. Yeah. That's probably peak Manchester United. That was
Mm.
one of the best performances I've ever seen. And the whole team was just purring on it. And
Do you know what?
Old Trafford was bouncing.
That the weird thing about that game, the weird thing about that Roma game is I always remember that as Alan Smith's best Manchester United match. So I didn't even remember. I know that Ronaldo was there, but that everyone was playing 10 out of 10s that game. And I thought Alan Smith actually showed what he could do, and it was the future's bright because he's finally doing what was asked of him. Did he get injured that season? Maybe did
Yeah,
he
I
get?
think he did,
Was
didn't
that
he? Yeah.
in the FA Cup with John Arnorisa? I think it might have been that same season, but yeah, I remember that win for Alan
Yeah.
Smith. But yeah, I mean Ronaldo. I wish I did see him live. I could probably still go and see him. I could take a little trip over to Al Nasser. It's only going to take 45 minutes to get there on a plane from here. But I feel like that's watching a cheap version of him. It's like watching Barry
Prime
Manilow
Ronaldo.
now, in Vegas. He's barely moving, but he's still managing to
Yeah. He's still going.
beat out the
Yeah.
songs. Yeah, I don't want to see
Yeah.
that.
Prime Ronaldo, I used to get really good seats that were like 2 or 1 seat back, from the front, and you could hear him run. Prime Ronaldo, he's just like a racehorse with his feet.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, and the pace that he used to go. When you see it live, it's completely different to me on the telly. And his feet were unbelievable. The size of him was unbelievable. Just an athlete, yeah, fantastic player.
Good. Good. There we go. Well, that's the end of the show for another week. We've done it. I believe you've got a little message for the people of YouTube.
Like and subscribe. Yeah, do it. Why not? If you got this far, like and subscribe. We're here all week. Well, we're here every week. Comes out on a Wednesday.
We're here all week. We're not here all
Here
week.
all
I'm
week. Wow.
definitely not
I
here
wish we
all week,
were.
but yeah.
I love doing
Yeah.
this. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, could do. We could do. Maybe eventually. But yeah, do like and subscribe to this. It really helps us out when we're making content. We have got more things coming up. It's not just going to be this show that we're doing. We'll also be doing some features as well. I think we're going to try and get some more regular transfer news. I know it's all kind of packed into one little episode right now, or one long episode, should I say? But we want to try and keep things up to date as quick as possible, especially after the World Cup, because I think that's when things are going to heat up. There's going to be lots of news to stay on top of. And hopefully we will become your resource for that. We do have little insider knowledge about things from Carrington, from yeah, there he goes. He's tapping his nose. From ex-pros as well that are out here in Dubai. In fact, one of my friends is being announced, or one of my ex Manchester United friends is being announced as a player coach today for a team out in Dubai. So I'll leave the sleuths to find out who that is. But yeah, we'd love to be able to continue to do this, and that just means that we just get more subscribers. So yeah, like and subscribe. We will be back
John the Gummers.
next. John the Gummers, up the Gummers. Get
Up
it
the
right
Gummers.
up you.
All right.
Get it right up you. We'll be back again. We'll be back again next Wednesday. Do follow us on social media as well. To be honest, it's more of the same of what you're getting here. You're not getting anything much different apart from it's been chopped up a bit more. That's it. So that's the God's honest truth. I'm not sending you there on false pretenses. There's nothing new there. You might even get one of these mugs. Eh? You want one of them? You're going to have to say something, because otherwise the camera won't go to you when you're holding it up.
Well, kids broke mine, so I need another one. There we go.
Right. Okay. We might be able to sort you one out, mate. Don't worry about
Bloody
that.
kids.
Right. That's it for another week. We will speak to you again next Wednesday.